How much is that Hot Wheels you have in your drawer really worth? Do you know how to tell a super treasure hunt from a regular car? Are scalpers destroying the hobby we love so much? Are YouTubers really the cancer of collecting? Today I answer the 20 most important questions in the world of Hot Wheels, the ones every collector wants and needs to know, but no one until today has answered them. I'm going to answer the 20 most important Hot Wheels questions in 20 minutes. What is the most expensive Hot Wheels in the world? The most expensive Hot Wheels in the world costs $175,000. That's right, the most expensive Hot Wheels in the world. It's the legendary Beach Bomb from 1969, a prototype Volkswagen bus with surfboards sticking out of the rear window. This piece never hit the market because Mattel redesigned it so it could run on the tracks, since the original one, the one Bruce Pascal has, would fall off, and this makes it one of the rarest castings into one of the most valuable cars, or the most valuable one in the world. Only a few have survived. The pink one is the rarest of all because there's only one in that color. My good friend Bruce Pascal bought it from a former Mattel designer who had it stored at his mom's house. Tell me, did you know the story behind this piece? The most famous Hot Wheels in the world. Could I have a Hot Wheels that's worth thousands of pesos and not even know it? The short answer is yes. And that's why you have to pay close attention and check your collection when you finish watching this video. The Mattel Redline era models, which range from 1968 to 1977, can be worth anywhere from $500 to $25,000 depending a lot on the color and the condition of the piece. But the most important question is, how can I identify them? Look at the wheels. These cars have a red line on the edge of the tire. That's where their name Redline comes from. And it's also very important to check the base to see if it says made in the USA. These are the most valuable and the most sought after by collectors. If you found one at your grandmother's house in a box full of dust, my friend, you already have a piece that could be worth a lot of money. How can I identify a super treasure hunt before buying it? That's a question everyone asks, and believe me, it's actually very easy to answer. A super treasure hunt has 3 clear signs that don't lie. First, the Spectraflame paint is a special metallic paint that shines a lot. Be very careful because there are already some recent models that have this type of paint, but they're not super treasure hunts. Super treasure hunt. Super treasure hunts will always have their basic model, which has Spectraflame paint, and their super model, which has a paint that has a very distinctive shine. But the second sign, and I think the most important one, is that these vehicles have rubber tires, rubber wheels, and some even have tread on the bottom. Just lift it up and check if they are rubber tires. Do you already have a super treasure hunt in a basic pack? The third, and I think one of the most important, is that these pieces have a flame on the card with a little gold symbol, and on the chassis they have the letters TH. With those 3 factors, rubber tires, Spectraflame paint, and the super treasure hunt symbols, do you already have your piece? The scalpers are ruining collecting. The short answer is yes, and there are people who go to the supermarkets. Since they open, they completely empty the shelves and resell on Mercado Libre at 20, 30, and even up to 50% above the real price of a piece. A car that costs 35 pesos is sold for 250, 300 pesos, 500 pesos, and even up to 800 pesos. The worst part is some have deals with employees to get one themselves, believe it or not. We've already seen throughout the channel that there are some sellers who collude with the managers with the toy department staff so they can get them. But the reality is that there are also many sellers who are very good and bring products that you couldn't get here in Mexico. Thanks to reselling, Elite 64 pieces arrived before they could officially get here through Mattel. Here we have other brands that aren't Hot Wheels, and that's thanks to the sellers and at a better price. Today, premium Hot Wheels are often cheaper from resellers than from Mattel. If you don't believe it, just look around and ask. They're out there. It's not that easy, but it's also true that a big part of the problem with the basic ones is that there are a lot of people who work together and do shady things. That's why the main thing, and if you want this to end, is to stop buying from them at excessive prices. Don't pay more than 100 pesos for a Ferrari, don't pay more than 100 pesos for a Bugatti. Look for good sellers and I bet you'll do very well in this hobby and you won't have to spend a lot. Which basic Hot Wheels are out today? Which ones will be worth a fortune in 10 years? I wish I had a crystal ball to know that. But there are certain patterns that can help you figure out which ones could be your investment for the future. The super treasure hunts keep increasing in value every year, so if you want to collect something that holds its value or keeps going up, the super treasure hunts are a very good option. Limited edition collaborations like Ferrari, maybe some Bugatti, even some Formula 1 can help them hold their value. What does it depend on? How long Mattel holds the licenses? If they lose them, prices will likely rise. Cars that are collaborations or themed, like the Back to the Future car, the DeLorean, like the Ghostbusters one, all these kinds of themed cars tend to go up in price as well. My advice would be, If you see something you like that's uncommon and also is licensed, is exclusive, or has something that stands out from the rest, keep them, preserve them in perfect condition, and tell me in 10 years how did it go for you? How do I know if an old Hot Wheels is original or a fake? There are three differences you have to take into account. The weight. An original Hot Wheels weighs more because higher quality metal was used in the chassis. Let's remember that there are even some that are made entirely of metal. The finishes. Hot Wheels, even though they don't have premium finishes, most of the older ones have very good finishes and the paint doesn't come off over the years. Unless you play with them and are banging them around. The imitations have dull paint, and to be fair, Hot Wheels has always had better quality than all the imitations. Imprecise edges, wheels that squeak. In the case of Hot Wheels, even if you play with them, the wheels always keep spinning. Mattel ensured the cars would spin for life, which is why they offer a lifetime warranty. The base flips over, the car should say Mattel, it should say the year it was made, and it has to say which country it was made in. If it doesn't have this, be careful. You may have a piece that is not Hot Wheels or may even be counterfeit. If it doesn't say Mattel, it's not Hot Wheels, it's that simple. Which Hot Wheels are the hardest to find in Mexico? This will depend a lot on the month, the year, and even the movies that are showing, even if you don't believe it. When Fast and Furious movies come out, Mattel takes advantage of that to release Fast and Furious vehicles that become impossible to find. The super treasure hunts are definitely always going to be very hard to find. Why? Because everyone wants them, they're the most valuable, the most sought after, and the most prized. Nowadays there's a trend, for example, with Japanese cars. These days, finding a Supra or finding a Skyline isn't that easy. It's rare to see them displayed, they sell out fast. Often they're gone as soon as they're stocked, and in some stores, they never even make it out of the cases. So my recommendation for this would be to research what's trending at that moment. Japanese cars for sure, and super treasure hunts for sure. Hot Wheels or Matchbox. The eternal battle, guys. Although personally I like Hot Wheels more, Matchbox made history. But anyway, let's stop worrying about that, because since 1997 both Matchbox and Hot Wheels have belonged to Mattel. It has more variety, more culture, more community, more resale value. The secondary market, a Hot Wheels is more expensive in the secondary market than a Matchbox. Some Matchbox cars cost 20 pesos and have a rich history. More history than a Hot Wheels. Matchbox is more detailed and truer to scale, more faithful to the original car. Hot Wheels is not like that. For investment and collecting, even if it hurts, Hot Wheels wins. For those who want accuracy, realism, cars that are truly worth it and are real, Matchbox wins, and by a lot. But tell me in the comments, which do you prefer? Hot Wheels or Matchbox? I'm a Hot Wheels fan, but honestly, I have a lot of respect for Matchbox. For me, it's a brand with a lot of history. How much money can a Hot Wheels seller make at the flea market? Let's get straight to the real numbers. It depends on how well they know how to do it. A seller who doesn't know could sell a red line worth 5,000 pesos for just 50 pesos. A seller who does know, he can buy lots of complete collections for 5,000 pesos and resell those pieces for up to 2,000 pesos each, one by one, for 1,000 pesos, 500 pesos. How many there are and which ones they are, but it mostly depends on the seller's skill. I've seen people at the flea market make a living from the hobby. It's not an easy path, it requires knowledge, patience, and understanding the market. It's a lot of work to make a living from reselling, but it can be done. And let's remember that in previous videos I went to sell at the flea market. A good seller can make between 3,000 and 5,000 pesos in a day, and on a bad day, 200 or 300 pesos. So this is very volatile. If you want to sell Hot Wheels at the flea market, you have to work hard, know your product, even know your customers, and really dedicate yourself to it. It's not an easy path, but it can be done. Without a doubt, there are a lot of people who make a living from this, and honestly, they do really well. How much are Hot Wheels from the 80s and 90s worth nowadays? Although Hot Wheels from the 80s and 90s are great for collecting, in my opinion, it's the second best era of Hot Wheels. They're not as valuable as the first ones from the 1960s. Is there really one from the 90s that's in good condition? They can go for anywhere from 500 to 3,000 pesos, considering they used to cost $1, so that's a good profit, unfortunately or fortunately. Without a doubt, the most valuable ones will always be those from the 1960s and 1970s. Although, as I said at the beginning of this question, the 90s were one of the best eras for Hot Wheels. Tell me, do you have any of these pieces? Let me know in the comments. How do I start collecting Hot Wheels from scratch? Welcome to those just starting out. I'm sorry to tell you that this hobby is addictive and there's no cure, but it's also one of the most beautiful ones in the world. Step 1. Define what you like. Japanese cars, muscle cars, themed movie cars. Collect what you're passionate about, not what others say is valuable. It's really important that you focus on what you like. Don't follow trends, don't follow creators. Identify what you like the most. Step 2. Start with the basic line from 25% off when they're on sale, up to 40 pesos when they're not. Why start with the basic line? They're the most affordable, so if you end up not liking it, you can quit without much cost. You can upgrade to the premium line later, but begin with the basic line. Learn to identify series, cases, and variants. This helps you discover your preferences and add quality pieces to your collection. Step 3. Join collector groups, preferably ones that aren't toxic. There are amazing communities in Mexico that share information and history and even do trades. One really important thing is this. If you have a piece you don't love, you can trade it for one you truly want. Make friends in the hobby, and that's the most important thing, that you have real friends who can help you identify things and who add value instead of taking away. The biggest mistake beginners make is buying everything and later selling it because they didn't like it. As my dad says, take it easy. Let's walk before we run. Which is the most sought after Hot Wheels in 2025? Actually, the year 2025 was one of the best years for Mattel and for Hot Wheels. Many licenses that had been lost came back several times. They started making Formula 1 cars, so telling you which ones were the most sought after is complicated. What I can tell you is that Ferrari dominated that year. The return of Ferrari was incredible, and even now, those models are still among the most sought after. The car culture line is one of the most sought after, and for many years it has been just as advertised. Formula 1 as well, although right now Formula 1 has dropped a bit, they're not as sought after as they were back then. For that year, I would say Ferrari, Formula 1 and the car culture line, and you name one more here. Down below, which one was the best for you in 2025? How do you customize a Hot Wheels without ruining it? Let me tell you, you'll inevitably ruin some pieces. I have a box of Hot Wheels I ruined because I didn't like the results. That's just how it goes. This will happen to you too. But to start, I can give you several tips. The first is that you have to be very patient, and the second is that you need to have the right tools. I see that a lot of people struggle because they don't have a drill. If you don't have a drill, don't even start, brother, because you're going to get really frustrated. Trying to do all that detailing by hand just isn't right. Dedicate time to it. Customizing is simple, but you do have to dedicate time, be patient, and have the right materials. Here's a video course I created on how to start customizing Hot Wheels from scratch. I hope it helps you. The biggest secret is patience and resilience, like everything in life. Use the right materials, and with that you'll move forward. Why does Mattel discontinue the models that collectors love? It's a sad reality that just when you love a piece the most, suddenly it's discontinued. It's really sad and it hurts. Mattel's official answer is that it's due to catalog rotation to make room for new models because they can't manufacture everything. The real answer is sales and licenses. If a casting, no matter how good it is for collectors, doesn't appeal to kids, in other words, if it doesn't sell. Remember that the basic Hot Wheels, the ones that cost 40 pesos, 35 pesos, are designed for kids, and if not, they won't sell. Mattel knows when a product isn't working, so they discontinue it. Licenses also expire, that's why there are movie cars or brands that appear and disappear. Suddenly you'll see a lot of them, and then suddenly you won't see them anymore. Licenses expire, and when something vanishes, demand suddenly surges. This happened with Ferrari. After losing the license, everyone wanted them and paid high prices. Though they're back, those cars still hold their value well. This has happened with Bugatti before and will happen many more times. That's why we need to take it easy and be patient, because at the end of the day, I think the licenses come back. Look, if it's a license that hasn't come back, take it easy, it's okay, collect little by little and you'll see that your favorite piece will come back. Is it better to buy Hot Wheels new or at the flea market? Both can belong in your collection, but I'll explain when each applies. The flea market is for when you want to find old, rare, or collectible models, or even ones to customize that are no longer in stores. The risk is buying something worthless or badly damaged, so pay close attention to your purchase. The flea market is great for finding unique, special pieces that others don't know about, making it a good option for your collection. Believe me, give yourself the chance to look for good pieces at the flea market. The store is for new pieces for those who want certainty, intact boxes, no damage, fixed price. So you don't have to haggle with someone or argue with anyone. There at the store you'll find fixed prices. The risk is that if you arrive late, you won't find anything hanging anymore. The risk is that now there are also a lot of resellers, and the risk is that the managers hardly ever come to the store anymore. That's why I often prefer the flea market, but this depends on each person. There you'll find out if you're patient and lucky, or would you rather search elsewhere or try the secondary market? Tell me, what do you prefer? What was the first Hot Wheels in history? And here we're going to get into a debate, gentlemen. On July 16, 1968, the first Hot Wheels was released. That's the official date, the one we're told. Mattel. That day, Mattel released the first Sweet 16, the famous Sweet 16, and the first one to come off the production line was the Camaro. Many say it's a white Camaro, others say it's a red Camaro. Prototype. I wasn't there to tell you which one it was, but it makes sense to me that it was a Camaro. Because let's remember that the designer or former designer from General Motors, Harley Bradley, left General Motors. And to make the Hot Wheels launch a success, he stole the plans for the original Camaro that General Motors was making to make an exact replica of it. So does it make a lot of sense that it's a Camaro? Even though many say it doesn't make much sense for it to be a Camaro, whether they like it or not. We need to decide if it was a red prototype or if it was white. What do you think? What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments. That first Camaro in perfect condition today can be worth up to $6,000. That's right, gentlemen, 120,000 pesos for a Hot Wheels, and to think that Camaro in the store only costs 59 cents, it's really crazy. What are the red lines? And why do old school collectors worship them? I think I already mentioned this before, but it deserves its own moment. The Redline era goes from 1968 to 1977. It's the first 9 years of Hot Wheels, and they're called that because of the red line they have on the tires. They're the most valuable because they're the originals, the first ones, the ones that started the story, the ones that defined everything. And that's why many collectors revere them. They love them. Plus, there's the sentimental side. Many old school collectors played with them. Just imagine they had a red line since they were kids and used it to race, and that's priceless. The most well-known collector, Bruce Pascal, has the largest red line collection, and it's insured for $1.5 million. Did you know that? Comment below, how can I preserve my collection without losing value? That's an interesting question. For me, the most important thing is to enjoy it, not just preserve it. But anyway, I'll answer you very honestly. Rule 1. Never open it. If you really want to collect for investment, never open this piece, keep it in good condition. A Hot Wheels in perfect condition, with its box sealed and its blister well cared for. Its value can increase over time between 30% and 300% more than an opened one. Rule 2. Keep it away from ultraviolet rays, don't let the sun hit it. In fact, don't let anything touch it, keep it in a box. The paint used on Hot Wheels tends to get damaged by sunlight, so be very careful. The same goes for the blister. Just like with the windows, we've seen at the flea market how after a few minutes the windows get warped and even the paint tends to peel off. So don't let them get any sun. Rule 3. Stable temperature. Sudden changes in heat can damage the cardboard. Even if it's a humid place and suddenly the sun hits it, the cardboard will get damaged. Plastic also tends to deform with sudden changes in temperature, so take care of them. Be very careful with them. For more serious and purist collectors, use acrylic display cases or special cases so that the blisters are kept in perfect condition. The truth is that collectors over the years have become more demanding, and they will only buy pieces that are in perfect condition. They don't want damaged pieces or ones with stress marks. To increase their value, you must be extremely careful. My advice would be, you know what, enjoy them, because otherwise just imagine you'll have to keep them all in a box. No sunlight, no water. Use acrylic cases, put naphtha, put a bunch of things for the humidity, and at the end of the day, what if something happens to you at that moment and you never got to enjoy them? Is it okay to preserve and collect for value? Sure, I respect that, but I think it's most important to enjoy what you have. I answered your question. I wouldn't do it, I'll enjoy them. But if you want to preserve and increase their value, take care of them. Don't touch, use gloves, or even look at them. Which Hot Wheels from popular culture are worth more? Fast and Furious Batman or Formula 1? Fast and Furious Batman Formula 1. Did you choose well, brother? The reality is that all these theme pieces tend to go up in value. There are Hot Wheels with themes like Back to the Future, which we talked about a moment ago, that keep increasing in price. The Fast and Furious ones are holding their value. Finding a Toyota Supra or a Skyline is extremely difficult. I think they're great for collecting, and they're also great if you want to have them as an investment, but choosing one of them is complicated. I'll stick with Fast and Furious. Formula 1 cars are already dropping in price, Batmobiles are still holding their value. It's going to depend on many things. With Ferraris, for example, the old Ferraris are still holding their value. I thought they were going to drop in price, but no. The Ferraris from the first era are still at a good price. If you have one, you can sell it for a good amount. Collect what you like, brother, that's the best way. Themed ones are great, but it's all about personal taste here. There's no rule about which is better. Is it possible to make a living from collecting Hot Wheels? Yes, it is. I make a living from collecting Hot Wheels, although my earnings actually come from social media. My content is based on toys and Hot Wheels. For many years, that's how I ate, that's how I dressed. Thanks to Hot Wheels, our content, and all of you who watch, thank you so much. I will always be grateful to you for that, but besides myself, I'm going to share a couple of very special cases. Mike Strauss sold his collection of 30,000 cars in 2011 for between $800,000 and $1 million and then went on to build a company. Larry Good, one of the greatest Hot Wheels designers, auctioned off his personal collection for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So yes, gentlemen, you can make a living from collecting, you just have to work very hard. Resilience and persistence aren't easy. They demand years of knowledge, patience, market insight, and understanding trends. Is it worth doing? Yes, but believe me, it's not going to be easy. It's a dream, yes, and today I still make a living from collecting. Every day it gets harder, but I don't give up. So I would appreciate it if you give me a like, share this video, and help me keep growing, because for me this is a dream. What I can tell you is that the people who make a living from this don't treat it as a hobby, they treat it as a lifestyle. Do you want to do it? I invite you to do it, to enjoy it, to try it, and you'll see that it's really nice, but you have to be very, very patient. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please share, comment, and let me know your thoughts. Did you already know any of this? I'm losing my voice, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next one. Be happy. I love you all a lot. Collect Hot Wheels. It's the best thing in the world. See you in the next one. Be happy. Goodbye. Bye.